You're not gonna say her name, man. You're not gonna say her name. You can't say Brianna's name, man. Come on now. Ryan Paul won't even say her name. Ryan Paul won't even say her name. Ryan, you won't even say her name. It's in your state, and you won't even say her name. It's a sidewalk, boy. Ryan, why won't you say her name, man?
All right, Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the men in whom I learned this truth from. Starting with the beginning at the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. All right, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatam, to all the sincere Akim, presenting their bodies living sacrifices, and making sure that this word is preached throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, and before I get started with this video, I would just want to put the disclaimer out that I'm not a part of any GMS camps, but I do learn and study under the doctrine of Great Millstone. All right. Just want to put that out there because, got a lot of wolves and sheep, sheep and wolves clothing. All right, so I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Again, I'm not a part of any GMS camps. I'm not an active member of Great Millstone, but I do learn and study under the GMS doctrine, and the Spirit's on me to do these videos, But nevertheless, so pretty much what you've seen was this guy, Ron Paul, basically being harassed, and this whole thing was over the death of Breonna Taylor. All right. And you see the people getting riled up and becoming restless, because we're living in the times where Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai is stirring the spirit up and causing a lot of things to happen on the earth for the elect's sake. Things are moving quickly, and these prophecies, they're jumping off the book. All right. But nevertheless, these things, it's been prophesied that these things, they would happen. Going to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, in verse 15, it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands." And that's clearly what you see going on today with all these different Black Lives Matter and Antifa groups and all these other militias. They got their swords in their hands, which is the modern day gun, right? And a lot of the tension is building up, it's rising up, right? I just seen an article where some appear to be a Jake. Supposedly he just randomly attacked some Edomite out the blue. It said that he was watching videos of police basically doing what they do to Jake, and it compelled him to just randomly stab some random Edomite. So clearly the tension's in the air. All right, the people are becoming reckless, or reckless too, but I meant to say restless. All right, because these individuals that are in these positions of power where they're supposed to be basically looking after the people, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that these politicians, these governors, these senators and whatnot, they're not doing their job, and they're basically they're full of shit. And again, the people are becoming restless. They're getting tired of, just this oppression that we're in, and you're starting to see that spirit, that lion type spirit that Judah's starting to become a prey. All right, and Judah's going to start, causing havoc in these streets. And Judah being the head tribe, which is so-called Negroes, so-called blacks. All right, they being the head tribe. The rest of the tribes, once Judah starts getting roused up, the other nations, the other tribes are going to follow. All right, because again, this guy Ron Paul, he was being harassed. You know, um, had to be escorted by the law enforcement. And again, that was all due to the fact about that was dealing with the whole Breonna Taylor, her deaths. But again, these things are prophesied to happen. Remember, read it again in when we read verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So you see, because again, people eventually, especially when it comes to Jake, they're just going to start saying the hell with it and start taking matters into their own hands. A lot of these individuals and these politics and these different senates and whatnot, um, eventually, people are going to start coming after them and ransacking their homes. All right, I believe this guy Ron Paul, his wife was there as well. And like I said, eventually, people are, they're just not going to start. They're going to stop giving a shit. All right, they're gonna kidnap these local politicians. These people in these offices. They're gonna start getting kidnapped and there's gonna be bounties out on their heads, and people are gonna be holding them for ransom and kidnappings. All right, they're gonna be taking their wives, their women, their children. All right, because again, the people are becoming restless, and eventually the people are gonna they're gonna say the hell with it. Again, these things are prophesied to happen. People are gonna start taking matters into their own hands. So I have a couple of precepts lined up because I mentioned, because again, when you have a functioning government, they're supposed to be for the people, but real quick, because again, people are realizing that these people in these offices, um, they're not really for the people, That's not what I want. Revelation 13. And Revelation 13 and 11, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." So again, those two horns, is basically going into the whole Republicans and Democrats. A lamb is something. It's a creature that's docile. Is basically it's no threat. And so again, you got these people, these politicians, and these people in these senates and whatnot, so on and so forth. They're supposed to be set up for the people, but yet again, people are realizing and understanding that all this it's been a lie. Because for the most part, they're there to act the part, but in reality, they're there to basically fulfill their own belly, and because that at the end of the day, they all work for the Satan's physical counterpart, which is Esau Edom, beginning with the elite bankers, all right, the top wicked elites. At the end of the day, they're all puppets. All right, so they appear, as a lamb, soft-spoken, and they appear to be for the people, but Um, when you read on, it says, and he spake as a dragon. But in reality, they're set up to basically, they're set up against the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians. All right. And again, people are realizing this. So that's why, they're gonna take matters into their own hands, and um, they're gonna um, do what they do. Especially Jake. Jake. When Jake has that spirit on him, that wicked spirit on him, they ain't no telling what they'll do. Um, but nevertheless, a couple of precepts. Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And right now, the righteous, talking about the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect. All right. We're not in authority right now, because it talks about how even in the kingdom, even when the nations are in subject under us, when they're in slavery and they're in captivity, even for the most part, the nations, they're gonna be chilling. They're gonna be rejoicing. All right, because one thing in our kingdom, there's not gonna be no GMOs or chemtrails being sprayed in the air, or none of this stuff. So this is why the earth is crying out, and the inhabitants therein, they're crying out to Yahweh Shem Shah, because right now the righteous, it talks about how in Romans, the 8th chapter, it talks about how the earnest expectation of the creature is basically, waiting on the manifestations on the sons of the Most High. Everything is waiting on this, the rulership, the kingdom, righteousness to be established on the earth. The earth itself, and all the inhabitants therein, all the creatures, the animals, and even the nations. Because again, when the righteous is established back in authority, everything's going to be at peace. Everything's going to be at rest. Everything's going to be the way that it's supposed to be. But when you read on, it says, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And like I said, the people, they're becoming restless. They're getting tired. They're getting fed up. All right, because it's been, it's nothing but oppression. It's nothing but misery. And the people are getting tired. So that's why they're going to start, like I said, they're going to start, they're not going to regard their kings nor princes. All these people in these, in the government and these different senates and whatnot, people are going to start coming after them and taking matters into their own hands. All right. Like I said, the scriptures prophesy these things. You got riots over there in Israel, against this guy Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, as well as other places on the earth. These things are gonna, the uproars of the people, as the scriptures talk about. People are gonna start rising up and going against the government. Well, they already are now, but it's only gonna get worse. It's gonna things are gonna spiral out of control. It's gonna get real deadly out here. It's gonna get real dangerous. So to the next precept, Isaiah 30:30. Isaiah 30:13. It says, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. Yeah, because for anyone who still has hope and still has optimism for this place called America, aka Babylon, all right, your hope is going to be in vain, because this place is done. All right, this place is like it's a breach ready to fall. This place is finished. And there's no healing for this place. There's no coming back. America is through. All right. The fire has been set. It's been kindled. Going to Luke 12 and 49. It says, I am come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it already be kindled? So you see, because the spark has been lit. All right. This place is crumbling, is circling the drain. And eventually this place is going to become, it's going to be burnt to a crisp eventually. But point being that, the fire has already been set. It's already been kindled. All right. And, the fire is not going out no time soon. All right. So this place is done. It's finished. All right. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it here. Because there's another one in Second Ezra 16th chapter I wanted to get. It talks about the plagues, Second Ezra 16 and start at verse 14. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Now, all in all, it's more so talking about the the nuclear missiles. Once they're once they're released out of those silos, they're not coming back. All right, because again, America ultimately is going to be completely destroyed. It's going to become a lake of fire by those ICBM missiles. All right, but more so, as well as all the other plagues, that Yahweh Shem Shai, he's plaguing this place. And, because before you have the nuclear missiles, being sent out of those silos, you're going to have all these other different plagues and judgments, that's set forth to come. And, again, once the Yahweh Shem Shai sends those plagues out, once he sends the word out, the command, that's it. They're not coming back. All right. Because again, you're only going to have more and more people, start rising up and standing against the government. You're going to have, shootouts with the local law enforcement and the military once they come out here and enforce martial law. All right, this place is through, man. Verse 15, it says, the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. And again, it's more so talking about the those nuclear missiles. But even before that time comes, everything that you see going on now, Yahweh Shem Shai, he sparked that he sparked that spark, lit the candle, so to say. All right, so because you're gonna have more and more of these instances take place. These cases where again, these people that's set up in these high positions, they're supposed to be looking after the people, the poor, but they're not doing that because again, at the end of the day, they're all puppets for the wicked elite. And again, people are, they're going to become restless, and they're going to start kidnapping these governors and these politicians and whatnot. These things are set to happen, and again, there's no coming back. Once the Yahweh Shem Shai sends the plagues, that's it. It's done. It's finished. So you can expect more and more of these, incidences to take place here in the streets of America. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Once again, giving all credit to Yahweh Shem Shai, and double honors to my teachers. Starting with and beginning at the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, Shalom.